Hey guys, Britt here from Full Dad Mode. Say, as you can see, it's snowing here in beautiful Minnesota, but that doesn't stop us from grilling. So today we're going to heat things up a little bit with a little smoked pork butt. Let's get after it. Alright guys, you know what time it is. Time for fire in the hole. Let's do this. Woo! Fire in the hole! Alright.
Here's a step-by-step guide to smoking the perfect pork butt on your Weber Smoky Mountain smoker. Fill a chimney starter about a quarter way full with unlit charcoal and light using lighter cubes. After about 15 minutes, your coals should be lit. Add them to unlit coals at the base of your smoker.
Now in our watering pan today, I'm going to put a little bit of apple cider vinegar in to sweeten things up. So let's throw a little apple cider vinegar in here. There we go. Now also, since it's snowing and since we're going to put a little bit of incorporate beer in this recipe, we're going to throw a little bit of Accumulation IPA in. New Belgium's one of my favorite beers and seems fitting since it's snowing, so let's throw this sucker in there too. All right, looking good. These coals are looking pretty good. Okay, let's throw some wood on. So for my wood chunks today, I'm using this Applewood, Cowboy Applewood smoking wood chunks. You want to use a little bit of sweeter wood when you're cooking pork, so that's why I went with a Applewood today over like a hickory, which would give a much more smokier flavor. So about 4 chunks I think will do it. Let's see how that smokes up and adjust as needed. All right, looks good.
While your coals are warming to a stable temperature, prep your meat. Use a binder for the rub to stick to the meat. I used olive oil, but mustard works really well too. Rub the binder on the pork, covering entirely. Next, spread dry rub all over the meat. Make sure to get a good coating on the meat. When your smoker temperature is stable between 225 and 275, go ahead and put your meat on. Place the meat directly on the grate, fat cap up. That lets the flavor melt into the meat while smoking.
It's looking good.
Next, add your temperature probes. Insert one temperature probe into the meat. Add a second probe next to the meat to monitor the smoker ambient temperature.
Let's see what happens. Adjust my grits here. Closing some of these out since my temp is a little hot right now. There we go.
Tips for controlling your temperature. First, don't overreact with temperature adjustments. Avoid the urge to over-adjust. When you make an adjustment, give it plenty of time to work before adding another adjustment. Also, make adjustments before they're needed. When it comes to temperature, your smoker is like a big truck with a small engine. It takes a while to get up to speed or to get hot, but then once it is, it's really hard to slow it down. If you need to raise the temperature, first, make sure you have enough charcoal in your firebox. Sometimes, simply stirring your coals is enough to get back up to temperature. If that doesn't work, just add some more coal. To lower the temperature, adjust the intake vents to a more closed position to let less oxygen in, which slows the rate of temperature rising. Also, be aware of how quickly the temperature is rising. The faster it's rising, the faster you need to act. Finally, to make controlling your temperature easier, get an automatic controller. Here's what I use.
In here, I got my Flame Boss 400 hooked up. What that's going to do is that's going to help me automatically adjust my temperature and keep it at about 225, between 225 and 250 where I want it for this smoke.
About 3 hours into your smoke, you're ready to check in on your smoker and meat. For the first check, focus on making sure your coals are in good shape. Add as needed. Take a peek at the meat too. You probably don't need to spritz at this time. Repeat your checks every 3 hours, following the same steps as your first check, but this time adding spritz to the dry spots of the meat. I use an even mix of water and apple cider vinegar for my spritz, but you can also add beer if you like. At 9 hours into the smoke, this is probably your last check needed. Spritz the meat and make sure your coals are in good shape to get you through the finish line in another hour or two. You're ready to remove the meat when the internal temperature hits 201. Using grilling tongs, remove the meat from the smoker and place it in a baking dish. At this point, it's practically falling apart and smells amazing. Nothing wrong with grabbing a taste of any pieces that fall off in the transfer. Next, wrap the meat in butcher paper and place it in a cooler to rest for up to an hour. The cooler locks in moisture. After the meat rests for up to an hour, you're ready to remove it from the cooler. Remove the wrapped meat from the cooler and place it in a baking dish. Pull the bone out. It should come out pretty easily. The meat may be so tender that you can simply shred the meat with your hands. Here, I'm using shredding forks. There you have it. Delicious pulled pork. Now dig in and enjoy. Visit my website, fulldadmode.com, for more great recipes and tips.